So thank you for checking out my podcast. And if you're wondering how I record my podcast, well, I actually use Anchor, which is a fantastic tool, free resource to use. But if you're new to podcasting like I have been, it really helps you to get started without worrying about editing and doing all the sort of hard work yourself. It does it all for you. If you haven't used it, it's probably the easiest way to make a podcast. So let me explain a few tips for you. It's free, which is fantastic. You don't have to pay anyone to edit your podcast or pay for software. There's loads of tools that allow you to record and edit the podcast right from your phone and computer. So again, you don't need any special equipment. So if you're looking to start a podcast and you're sort of on a budget, it's a perfect way of starting. The best thing which I found, it helps to distribute your podcast for you, so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more hosts that listen to podcasts. The best thing for me was that, because trying to distribute it from another software was really confusing, and all the technical know-how, which I don't have, was done for me by Anchor. So you can just, once you click the podcast, say where you want it delivered to, and it will do all the work for you, which is fantastic. And also you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So ads like you listen to on this one, this is an ad just talking about Anchor. You can get a little bit of commission from that, which is great. So extra bit of money in your pocket from doing what you love. And I have no problem doing this advert for Anchor, because ultimately it has allowed me to create a podcast. So if you're passionate about something, I'm going to talk about it, and it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So for me, I would recommend Anchor 100% if you're looking to start to do a podcast. And obviously then you can, elaborate and get better with your podcast, but you can just get better sound equipment. But all the software you need to do a podcast on the go or at home on a computer is all from Anchor. So for me, it's the best tool I've ever used when it comes to starting a podcast. So definitely, if you're interested in starting your own podcast, whether that is on health or fitness or travel, just pick something that you're passionate about and talk about it, then download the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hello and welcome to the Plant-Based Revolution podcast with your host, myself, Neil Damerel from My Lifestyle Coach. Thank you very much for joining me again this week, and I really appreciate everybody tuning in on a weekly basis to the podcast. We're 24 episodes in now, so I really appreciate you sticking with me. Hope you're enjoying the show, and as I say always, love you to go over to iTunes and just spend a bit of time, little review, take you 2 minutes, to see how you're enjoying the show. And if you do, if you are kind enough to lend us a review, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. So in today's episode, I'm just going to talk about the top 10 reasons for overeating. So, we all binge, we've all pigged out and binged, stuffed our face with food, whatever you want to call it. But overeating seems to rear its ugly head every now and then. So what are the reasons for overeating, and how can you prevent this? So it's key. The thing is that you can learn to spot triggers for binge eating and overeating, and then employ these strategies to make them less tempting to overeat. So once you know the flashpoints, how to manage them, then your diet can be binge free. I think overall we're all going to have that odd occasion where we may overeat too much, and that will be maybe on a party or a special occasion, something more of a treat. But if you're finding that you're binge eating or overeating too much, then maybe these tips are going to be really handy for you in order to highlight which those triggers are, spot those triggers early, so you can eat well, even enjoy a healthy treat, but not consume too many calories when you're going out for a restaurant meal, for example. You can eat enough so you feel satisfied, without feeling so bloated when you leave that you feel a bit ill. So what you need to do, you need to be aware of these facts that you're overeating. So just piling in the food like you always do. You need to be conscious of these things. So as a helping hand, what I said, I'm just going to highlight the top 10 things that could cause you to overeat. So number 1, your friends. So even the best friends can become your diet enemy and act as sabotagers. So say you're out with a friend for lunch, you often find it's really difficult to say no, or there's not really a healthy option when your mates are piling on the fast food and encouraging you to do the same. So you've got to remember that it's your body, and the reason why you want to lose weight is to feel better about yourself. It's not for them. And you'll see that after a few occasions, they will just naturally accept your choices and maybe even start doing the same. So be strong in the first instance, especially when you're around friends. I've experienced it in the past when I started drinking less alcohol years and years ago. It was a bit of a culture shock for them, but over time they've come on board, and actually they probably don't have as much alcohol as I do now. So you just got to be passionate and strong, and if they're the friends, they will support you down the line. Number 2, your plate. So it's time to look at your cookery, as it could be the major contributor to why you're overeating at every meal. So dinner plates, as with portions, seem to have got bigger and bigger. It's just trendy to serve food on massive white plates in restaurants, but in a domestic situation, this can bring in huge portions. So try shrinking your plate and swap your normal one for a slightly smaller one. Give it a few weeks, and this should affect how much food you intake during each meal. So definitely, this is a really, really key point. The more you put on your plate, the more naturally you want to consume. We're kind of predisposed to maybe finish everything that's on our plate, and if you have smaller portions, you'll slowly get used to consuming less without counting calories and slowly reducing that portion size on a gradual basis. So number 3, you're tired. So this is something that I definitely can relate to, because food is often a pickup when we're feeling tired, and there is a symptom of tiredness that can actually be mistaken for hunger. So first of all, you need to get into a good sleeping routine. The optimum time for sleep has been found between 7 and 8 hours, so make sure that you're getting enough sleep. Also think about the times when you feel tired the most. This is normally in the mid-afternoon slump, or maybe just when you get in from work. So establish a pattern when you feel tired, and how you're going to combat this by going for more healthier snacks rather than picking something from the vending machine to give you a perk up. So generally those periods of times, mid-afternoon, mid-morning, we may feel that we are struggling a little bit. So if you've got healthier snacks on options, such as fruits and vegetables, dipping them in hummus, maybe your own homemade nut bars, those kind of things, or a handful of almonds, would be a much better option if you got those on hand rather than a chocolate bar. I've been left caught short and tend to go for a chocolate bar, but I've got no other option on me. So if I take food with me, then I'm not going to be tempted to spend money on a chocolate bar and a vending machine if I'm out and about feeling tired mid-afternoon, etc. Number 4, so you could be bored. So many people overeat to fill time simply because they're bored or do not have anything of interest to do or look forward to. And when people are bored, they tend to park themselves in front of the TV, which can inevitably lead to more snacking. And research has shown that you consume more food when you're watching TV. So if you go to the cinema, you probably consume more calories while watching a film, because you're not conscious of the food you're consuming. You're so engrossed in the movie that you just unconsciously consume the popcorn, for example, and then by the end of the film realise you've gone for a whole large tub of popcorn. So So it's important to think about how you can address these issues. So if you feel unfulfilled by your job or there's a lack of motivation in the workplace, this can probably account for a massive percentage of your cafeteria sales. In research showing that basically if you are bored, you're going to spend more time probably away from your desk trying to have a coffee, have a snack. So you're basically not doing your job, because I know if I'm not in a job that I'm interested in, you're going to do everything you can to not do the work. So obviously you need to focus on the root cause of the problem. If it's at home, try and find an alternative thing to do. Call someone, go online, read a magazine, do something that is going to stop you from heading to the fridge and having a snack. So the key one for me, actually, especially after dinner, is actually going for a walk, just a little walk for 20 minutes. It's a really good way of stopping myself from snacking and keeping myself busy, really, rather than just being bored. Right, I'm going to go have some more food. So another good way after tea is maybe clean your teeth an hour after you've had your main meal, and because your teeth are fresh, I always feel like, well, I'm not going to go and have a snack because the taste buds have been kind of subsided because I've brushed away all those kind of flavours that I had from my main meal, for example. So there's some good tips for you there if you are feeling bored and you tend to overeat when you're bored. Number 5, so you drink too much. So as well as adding to your daily calorie intake, a few alcoholic drinks before you eat can really mess up your appetite and actually stop you recognising that you're full. So after a couple of drinks, you are more likely to reach for the salty, fatty snacks, which in turn will make you drink more alcohol to quench your thirst, and then so the spiral continues. So that's why they have loads of salted nuts on your bar in the pubs, because if you're eating the salty nuts, you're going to be quenching your thirst, so then you want to buy another beer, and the cycle continues, basically. So while under the influence of alcohol, it becomes harder for you to recognise the feelings of being full and satisfied, so you keep overeating. If you're planning on having a drink, then match every alcoholic drink with a glass of water. Try and lay off the nibbles if you can, and go for a healthier option, and only have one handful of food until you've been eating for about 20 minutes, and then decide if you want more. So try and give yourself a break when you've had some food, and then think, right, if I need more, give yourself 20 minutes and then decide if you want more. So it gives you a chance to give the brain to recognise that you're full, and that should help suppress your appetite a little bit. Number 6, you don't drink enough. So this is on the flip side. So drinking too little, this is non-alcoholic drink, so water generally, can cause you to overeat, as the symptoms of thirst can sometimes be mistaken for hunger. So the daily recommended amount of water to drink is around 8 glasses, but the idea is not to knock them back all in one go. The best strategy is to have them throughout the day. So little sips and often throughout the day. That will stop you, going to the toilet continuously, and also is going to hydrate you gradually throughout the day. So if there's too much for you to manage, then start with smaller drinks and try and have maybe a glass of water with every meal. And then once you get used to that, you can increase the amount of water you have throughout the day as well. And this will generally clock up more and more glasses of water, up to your 8 glasses throughout the day. So it's a really good way. So another key thing, like definitely mid-morning, mid-afternoon, if you are struggling, always try and have maybe a pint of water first before you reach for any snack. That will stop you from maybe overeating mid-afternoon, mid-morning as well. So number 7, so eating too quickly. So this is very, very important. And how long does it normally take you to eat a meal? It could be 5, 10, 15 minutes. I've seen people at a restaurant that I've just started eating my meal and their plate's gone. I'm like, oh, they just shoveled it down. It's ridiculous. So if you can clean your plate in less than 20 minutes, then generally you could be at risk of overeating, as it takes longer for your body to recognise it's full. So key is just eat slowly and really enjoy the flavour of the food. And there's definitely a few strategies that you can use to help you slow down while you're eating. So you can chew your food for a set amount of times, which will also benefit your digestion process. They always say you want to drink your food and eat your drinks, so try and chew your food enough so it becomes almost liquid form. That will take a bit more time, but also it's going to help because digestion starts in the mouth, so the more you can chew your food, the better it's going to be for you. And also you're going to find that it takes you longer to eat, so you're going to register that you're full quicker, so you tend to not overeat by eating too quickly. Another good tip is that you can put your knife and fork down between mouthfuls and not load up your fork until you've swallowed the first mouthful. We do have a tendency to, consistently always have the next mouthful in our plate, almost as we've swallowed, to just wolfing it down. So if you can slow down that process, that will definitely stop you from overeating as well. Keep just naturally going to cut some calories down because you're having less in terms of your portions. So that's great. Number 8, you've already broken your diet. So for many, a bout of overeating or binging can be brought on because you've had maybe a little slip up in your diet, and I've seen this loads of times. Just because you failed one day, it doesn't mean you can undo all that bad work, all that good work, and just binge on a load of food and forget how far how much you've achieved in that time. So eating a cookie or few or chips can trigger this as well, because you're having higher sugar fatty foods, which then will crave more high fatty sugar foods. So key is to employ a bit more willpower. Recognise that one mistake, one cookie is much better than the whole packet. So enjoy a treat if you want one, but don't undo all the good work you've done by consuming way too much and feeling sorry for yourself. We all do it. If you're a bit of ice cream in the summer, it's fine. These things aren't going to ruin all the work that you've done over the last 10 months, 10 weeks, however long you've been on a program. So number 9, you feel deprived. So there's nothing worse than feeling like you're missing out on all those good stuff you love. And for many, the word dieting conjures up the image of living on lettuce leaves and muesli. So I guess I always highlight, it's not about being on a diet, it's just about making small changes. So it's okay if you don't have to accept a diet of dust for the rest of your life, which is definitely true. You shouldn't be on a diet of shakes. You shouldn't be on a diet that restricts any food group. You should just have a good balance, and obviously the foods that are bad for you, you want to have less of, and the foods that are good for you, you want to have more of. So if you have a good balance of that, you're definitely going to be on the right track. So if you want to shift some fat, then look at just cutting out the bad foods, and inevitably you will crave those bad foods less because you're having them less. And that is the key. Enjoy a treat day. Don't forbid any foods, because when you forbid one food, you just will be craving that all the time. So if you said you can't have chocolate ever again, all you're going to think about is when you can have chocolate again. So enjoy chocolate, enjoy it in moderation, but just make sure it's not every day. It's maybe once a week or a couple of times a month, for example. And number 10, you'll start your diet tomorrow. So how many of you said, I'll start the diet tomorrow? How many times have you said that to yourself? The thing is, it isn't the case at all. So you're saying that and you're starting the diet tomorrow, and you're actually saying it to yourself so you can eat whatever you want today. And inevitably, at the eve of your new diet, you tend to overeat to compensate. And the thing is, tomorrow never comes, and if you're constantly putting off a better eating plan, overeating becomes a norm, and your genes are just going to get that little bit tighter. So we always want to start something new. Every day is a new day, start something new, but just go for it. And if you're overeating or triggering, it's like, I'm going to give up alcohol, so I'm just going to have loads of alcohol on the weekend, and then not going to drink again. It's like Christmas, and then everyone goes dry January. So, well, have a balance, enjoy your drink. It doesn't mean you have to give up drinking alcohol in January if you're having a healthy balance in terms of your alcohol consumption throughout the year, rather than just in certain times of the year. So forget about a start date, just start now, and just make it a lifestyle change and employ those healthy habits on a daily basis, and that will help you to lose the weight that you desire as well. So that is it from me today. That is your top 10 reasons for overeating. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to those. So hopefully all of those top 10 tips will be of benefit to you. I know a lot of those I can relate to as well. So it's just about being conscious of them. So when you do become engaged in that situation, you're more aware of why you might be overeating and how you can just reduce yourself from overeating, and then that's not going to affect your diet. So just a good way of cutting calories as well, without counting calories, and just being mindful of those little things. So just be wary of the top 10, like I've said. So the friends that you're around, your plate size at home. Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling bored? Do you drink too much alcohol? Do you not drink enough water? Do you eat too quickly? Do you overcompensate for breaking your diet and feeling sorry for yourself? If you're on a diet, do you feel deprived because you can't have anything? So you just want what you can't have? And do you always feel that you're going to start your diet the next day and tomorrow never comes because you're overcompensating, and it's just a vicious circle of compensating for giving up everything the next day, and then you come to that next day and you don't do anything about it. So yeah, definitely take those on board. They'll definitely help you in terms of achieving the weight loss that you desire. So thank you very much again for listening to the Plant-Based Revolution podcast. My name's Neil Damerel, as I said, and if you want any more information about me, you can go to mylifestylecoach.uk or find me on Instagram, where I'll post regular stories so you can catch up with what I'm doing on a daily basis, as well as some information articles and posts. And if you want to get in touch, just you can message me at hello@mylifestylecoach.uk, or like I said, just connect on Instagram and send us a direct message, say hello. It'd be good to speak to some of the listeners, see how you're getting on, enjoying the show. So thank you very much again, and we'll see you next time.